Hello, I'm here with my April reading roundup. I finished 8 books just like in March. First up was Thinner by Richard Bachman, aka Stephen King. Now, when I started this book, I was absolutely hooked. And I remember thinking at one point, wait, I'm only 40% in. Where is this book going to go? It unfortunately did start to drag a little for me, but overall, a really entertaining read. I'm glad I read it, and I gave the book 4 stars. Then I read The Wickedest by Caleb Femi, a poetry collection. I was hoping for a lot more from this book of poems. I was hoping for more drama, more story, more intrigue, more text, and some of the poems did really land, but a lot of it just didn't have any impact on me. In the end, I gave this collection 3 stars. Then I read One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar El Akkad. I said in my review to call this book mighty, powerful, thought-provoking, insert whatever commonly used term here, just doesn't do the book justice. I do think everyone should read this book and then do some serious inward reflection about where they stand and how it impacts them and how they want to act going forward, especially in the current political landscape. I gave One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This 5 stars. After that, I finished If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. Now, The Secret History is one of my favorite books, and I know that this one is often compared to it, and I could really feel the Secret History vibes. However, it's not on the same par, and it felt like it was trying to be The Secret History. I don't know if that's unfair to the author or not. But I did really enjoy it. I love the campus setting. I love the whole thing of a group of friends. And I liked the theme of Shakespeare. Some of the quotes and dialogue felt heavy-handed, but then again, if you're obsessed with something, then it does feel like too much. So perhaps the usage of Shakespeare really does fit if you have students where that's their whole life and their whole educational career. I gave If We Were Villains 4 stars. Then I read the poetry collection Room Swept Home by Remika Bingham Risher. Originally, I was very excited about this collection because it was a mix of poetry and memoir, but some of the poems started going over my head and I wasn't sure what I was meant to take away from each of the poems. Just kind of started to drag again, and so in the end I gave this book 3 stars. I did really appreciate the detailed research that went into this collection, and I really loved the author notes that were at the end. Then I read Cherrywood by Jock Sarong. This was a random recommendation by a friend's mum last year when I asked her what her current favorite book was. And I'm so glad I read this book. When it started, I was hooked. I thought this might be a 5-star read. I'm not one for magical realism, but it really did initially work for me. However, unfortunately, again, it did start to drag in the middle. I wasn't convinced by some of the characters and their relationships and their decisions. And then the magical realism aspect did start to be a bit too much. So overall, I'm really glad I read this book. I ended up giving it 3.75 stars. My 7th book of the month was by my favorite nonfiction writer, Patrick Radden Keefe. His latest release, London Falling, and he did not disappoint. Wow, this was an incredible work of narrative nonfiction. I expected the best and I got the best. I knew the book was set in London, but I didn't realize just how hard-hitting it would be, not only being in London, but me being familiar with the areas and the institutions that he mentions. The way that this man can weave together a narrative while really sticking to the details is just unparalleled. And I gave this book 5 stars. And then my final book of the month was The Conductors by Nicole Glover. I'm not sure audio is the best format, but I don't know if the book would have fared any better, in my opinion, if I'd read it digitally or in print. I think the concept, the background, all of that was really, really great, and I was excited, but I think the execution didn't quite land. I couldn't keep track of all of the characters. It wasn't clear their motivations for certain things. The magic system sounded interesting, but again, there were a lot of holes there that weren't explained, and so it felt like there was a lot of potential that wasn't quite realized. I wasn't bored though, but in the end, I gave The Conductors 3 stars.